Welcome to our intermediate class today. And our theme this week is from the Yoga Sutras, as it has been through the whole session. And it's also this week just past the summer solstice. Um, I put a little bit of attention on that today. And the idea from the sutras is that the Yoga Sutras was written in a time when yoga was more of a meditative practice than a physical practice. Um, but we all know if we meditate for very long, we get stiff and we need to move the body a little bit. So these things evolved. But as a meditative practice, in some kinds of meditation, there's no focus on the meditation, or it might be just a breath focus, or it might be, trying to maybe clear the mind, which is very, very, very difficult. If you've ever tried, you know that. So the idea from the Yoga Sutras of meditation is that we should choose something to meditate on, something to focus on when we meditate. And that focus should be something that's positive to us, that makes us feel good. So in the sutras, they offer a bunch of things that we might focus on or use to know ourselves better, because one of the goals of yoga is to know ourselves. And so it talks about studying your dreams, or being mindful of who you spend time with. So some of those suggestions, but also things like meditate on light or meditate on God, if you're someone who finds that to be a helpful focus. So not everyone feels a connection with God or a higher power, and Sutra says doesn't matter. If you do, great, you can use that as a focus for meditation. If not, choose something else. So at the end of sort of a list of things that they suggest, could be a mantra or an affirmation, he says, or just anything that feels good to you, anything that feels positive, uplifting, expansive to you. So today I'm going to offer the suggestion of using the sun as a focus for our practice. And a few things with the sun as a focus. So like I said at the beginning, I'm not a real heat person. Actually, I think I said that before I started the recording, but I'm not a real heat person. And so when I first started working with my teacher, Mr. Desikachar, he did a lot of sun meditations, and I got really agitated. I was like, I hate this. Picturing this big ball of sun and getting super hot and agitated and feeling irritated and just wanted to get out of the room. And then when I talked to one of my colleagues and said, this was my experience and what's your experience, and one of the suggestions was to picture not the big hot sun in the middle of the day, but the sunrise or the sunset or even the moon as a reflection of the sun. So I tried that and everything shifted for me. So I find I'm a sunrise girl. I love the morning sun and that start of a new day. And I don't always get up for it, but when I do, I really enjoy it. So I invite you to choose an aspect of the sun that works for you. And if the sun isn't a focus that feels good for you, then choose something else that does feel good. So we're going to start seated. You can sit on a chair or the floor. I'm going to sit on the floor, but whatever works for you, and I'll see you there. So finding yourself a comfortable position. Take a moment to feel yourself really settle into your seat. So you feel your sit bones on the surface that you're sitting on. Feel a sense of your spine growing out of your pelvis evenly, so you're not leaning forward or back or to one side or the other. And see if you can find a feeling of your head centered over your shoulders, centered over your hips, so that there's a feeling of alignment and support in the body. And once you feel aligned and comfortable, you can close your eyes. If you want to keep your eyes open, that's always a viable option. Some people find it's much more easy to visualize with the eyes closed. So whatever works for you. And let's take a moment to consider today's theme. So the theme is to focus on whatever feels good and expansive and positive to you. And my suggestion is that most people have a pretty positive connection with the sun, but not everyone. So if you're one of those who's not a sun worshiper, who finds the sun irritating in some way, you might choose a sunrise or a sunset or even the reflected light of the sun on the moon or some other focus that suits you better today. So take a moment to picture that which you've chosen, whether it's your sun in some aspect or something else. Take a moment to really tune into that energy. What is the energy of your focus? So for me, the energy of the sunrise is a new day, a new beginning, a rising up. Maybe you've chosen a sunset, and the energy of your sun might be more of a calming, cooling kind of feeling. Or maybe you're all about the full on noonday, passionate sun or the cool light of the moon. So finding your positive focus, focusing on the energy of that focus. And breathing it in as if you could draw it into your body, as if you could draw that energy in. The rising or the calming or whatever it is that you need right now. Take a few deep breaths. Imagine yourself drawing that energy in all the way to your fingers and toes. And then we'll start a little movement from seated, and it's that cat-cow movement we often do on all fours. Inhaling, finding a little extension or arch, exhaling and rounding. If your legs are crossed and they'd be more comfortable stretched out, go ahead and stretch them out. Or you can bring the feet to the floor, hold the knees for this one. Great, and then eventually coming back to a neutral spine, and we'll work a little bit with the head and neck to release any tension there. So let's start by letting the chin release down toward the chest, lengthening the spine, feeling a little stretch perhaps in the back of the neck. And then coming upright with the head, turning the head to one side. And then a little sweep with the chin coming across the chest to the other side. And then you'll sweep back. So you can continue that side to side movement for the head a few more times. And then eventually come back to center. And we'll take the ear and release it down towards one shoulder. And you can play around whether it's a straight side movement or you could bring the chin down slightly so it's side movement and forward movement. You can kind of play around with the exact angle, even tilting the chin down and slightly back. And when I do that, I find the stretch kind of moves across the top of my opposite shoulder. And if you're here and you want a little bit more stretch, you can take the opposite arm and reach it out, walking your fingers away. Slowly come back to center. Maybe notice how one side of your neck feels compared to the other. And then letting the head tilt the other way. Try not to tilt your whole body. So it's just a nice long spine and the head releasing to the side. Again, you can play around with Does the chin come forward and down a little? Does it stay in a straight side position? Or do you need to or want to move it forward and back a little to get into where it's tight for you? And then when you find a place that feels like a good stretch, if you get more, you can bring your hand to the ground and gently walk your fingertips away. Keep the spine long. Good. And then releasing the back to the center. Let's come around onto all fours and move into the cat-cow or all fours to child's pose from all fours. So with an extension on your inhale and some sort of flexion, whether it's on all fours or moving to child's pose with your exhale. And be cautious with your neck as you come forward. You don't want to crank the head back. Think more about the crown of your head reaching from your tail. And then reversing. Release. Really let the head go when you come into the exhale portion of this movement. So the inhale, you're lengthening the crown of the head away from the tailbone. Exhale, releasing the back of the neck, letting go. But you can start to add in downward dog as you feel ready. So you could exhale into downward dog at some point, keeping lots of ease in the body, and then back to all fours as you breathe in. Maybe to child's pose or cat pose. So you can alternate like that a few times, inhaling all fours, exhaling downward dog. And you're going, of course, at your own breath rhythm, whatever feels right for you. Great. And then next time you end up on all fours, let's take the hands, walk them a little forward. Bring the hips forward. So we're in a kneeling plank, and you can play around with exactly where your hands are so that when you come forward, shoulders are over top of the wrists. You want to engage the core so you're not sagging through the belly. You want to lift up but not lift your bum up out of line. And then if it feels right for you, you might tuck your toes under and come into a plank. So find a little lift through the core, open up the shoulder blades, reach the crown of the head away from your heels. Big breath in. And then without moving your hands and feet, come into downward dog. So your downward dog might be a little bit more lengthened than normal. All right. Let's try walking on the spot here. And then eventually releasing the knees to the ground. You can come into child's pose and maybe take a few breaths, resting your head on your hands or on the ground. You may rock your hips a little side to side, releasing any tension in the lower back here. And then from our child's pose, we'll come into a kneeling position. So you can just bring your body upright. Now, if kneeling here on your, sitting right on your heels isn't comfortable, you can start from a high kneeling position as we go into our, as we start to think about going into our sun salutation. So wherever you're at, either sitting low or sitting high, bring your palms together at your heart. And again, picture that aspect of the sun that you've chosen or whatever other focus you may have chosen. And we'll start with a kneeling sun salutation, really simple. We've done most of it already. Taking that sun as if it's connected to the heart, lifting up as you raise that connection, as if you're reaching for the sun in the sky, and then those two suns meet, the sun in your heart and the sun in the sky. The arms come down and back into the heart. So we'll do that again, lifting. The sun in your heart meets the sun in the sky, and that light spreads. One more time. Great, and then letting the arms come down to your sides. We'll lift up with the breath in now. Find a little bit of extension. And then exhale, move into child's pose. From child's pose, we'll move into all fours with an inhale and then into downward dog with an exhale. Take a breath here. And then back to all fours with an inhale. Child's pose as you exhale. Inhale, lifting all the way up. And again, as if we could take that sun, bring the palms together and bring it down into the heart, connecting with the light in your own heart. And taking a breath here. We'll raise up again, inhaling. You can release forward as you exhale. Inhale, all fours. Exhale, you can step back to plank. Take a couple of breaths here. Find a little lift through the core and the shoulder blades. You can keep your knees down if that's better for you. And then pressing back to downward dog. Try to do that without stepping forward with your feet. Take a breath here. You can be up on your toes, bend your knees as much as you need to. And then we'll come back down to all fours, breathing in. Exhaling, child's pose. Inhaling, lifting all the way up. You can take the hands together, exhale back to the heart. Inhale, lift. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, coming up to all fours. And then we're going to step back to plank. And we'll work a little bit on this challenging move called Chaturanga Dandasana. So we're going to start with the knees down. And what we're looking to do is bend the elbows and let the body come forward over the hands a little. And you're going to stop when it feels like enough for you. And you can kind of do down and up a little bit. You want to make sure you don't go past a 90-degree bend in your elbows. And if you're not sure, for most people, a block is about the right height. So you could come down to your block and back up. So if you're feeling not so strong, it might be just a teeny weeny bend. And from your teeny weeny bend, we're going to let the hips come down, chest forward, shoulders back, and then shift back to child's pose. Take a breath or two here. Let's try that again. So if you've kept your hands where they were, you'll be able to come right forward into that kneeling plank. If you feel strong, you can do it from full plank. Bend as much or as little as feels right. And then as you straighten, let the hips come down, chest forward, shoulders down and back. And then we'll move into downward dog. Take a few breaths here. Again, try not to move your feet forward or back, and then you'll be in the right position for plank, chaturanga, downward dog. Let's come to all fours, breathing in. Exhale, moving to child's pose. Take a few breaths here. It's a nice opportunity in child's pose if you want to do some movement for your wrists. So chaturanga and downward dog and plank all have weight on the wrists. So you want to make sure that you're not overdoing it here. Great, when you're ready, let's come all the way up to high kneeling. And as if we could connect and take that sun from the sky, bring it to the heart. Inhale, lift. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, all fours. Step back to plank. So you want to have your wrists and shoulders lining up. You can either keep the knees off the ground or bring them to the ground. Bend your elbows And then let the hips come forward and down, shoulders back. You can keep a little bend in the arms. You don't want to kind of lock your elbows and bring your shoulders up. Think about pressing into your hands, chest forward. Keep a little engagement in your belly so you don't just flop into that back bend. And then from here, let's press back to child's pose. Again, a little movement for your wrists if necessary. Take a few breaths here. From child's pose, we'll lift all the way up as if we're reaching for that sun, bringing it back to the heart. And if you've chosen another focus other than the sun, just substitute your focus every time I say sun. And inhale, lift. Exhale, forward. Inhale, all fours. Step back to plank. Knees up or down as you prefer. Bend the elbows, long spine. Lots of control as you come into a gentle back bend here. Feet can be stretched back or tucked under, and we are going to lift up into downward dog this time. And let's take a step forward with the left foot. We're going to turn the right foot out for warrior one. If you want an easier warrior one, step forward. If you want a more challenging warrior one, have the feet in the same position. So where your hands were, your front foot is, where your feet were, your back foot is. And then from there, inhale, lift up into warrior one. And let's take a moment in warrior one. Think about drawing the hips forward, pressing into the back foot, bending the front knee over the ankle as much as possible. Right, and then bring the hands down. You can move the front leg a little straighter, let the head come down. Right, and then we'll step back to downward dog. From downward dog again, we'll step forward with the right foot. Left foot turns out. Again, you can step forward if you like. Inhale, lift into warrior one. And again, knee over the ankle in front, hips a little turning toward the front as possible, pressing into the back edge of your back foot and growing up from that back heel as if you're arcing the whole body up and extending. And then we'll bring the hands down. You can move the front leg a little straighter as the head reaches down toward the knee. And if straighter isn't available to you, just be where you are. And let's step back, downward dog. Now in your downward dog, try to guess, how far do my hands and feet need to be away from each other to be in a good position for plank? And then test, come forward in plank. Is that a good position? If not, go back, step forward or back, and try again. And then back to downward dog. So we're going to come to the front of the mat now. You can do so by walking forward, stepping forward, or hopping, as you prefer. When you get there, you can have your fingertips beside your feet or hands on the shins or knees, coming part way up with a breath in, and then releasing. Exhale, soften your knees, let your spine be long. You can cross your arms here if you like and spend a few breaths. Try to let your head relax. When you're ready to come up, lift the heart first. Come all the way up, reaching overhead as if you're gathering light and sun and bringing it to the heart. And breathe here. So we're now upright for the first time in the class. So let's release the hands down and take a moment to feel the earth beneath you. So we are literally made up of the elements. Right? The earth, our bodies, flowing and mixing with the water, the air that we breathe, and that spark of light, that spark of electricity that keeps our heart going. We have all of the elements as part of us, and we need all of them to be fully human. And we can choose to connect more deeply with one or the other of those aspects. And today we're really focusing on the light and the feeling of expansion that is associated with the sun. But we also want to feel the earth. So if we only think about expanding, we can kind of lose a sense of grounding and even go into a bit of anxiety. And if we're only grounding, we can kind of get lethargic and depressed. So feel the ground beneath you, but also feel the sense of expansion around the heart and the upper body. If you like, you can close your eyes for a moment and feel that real pull in two directions, the feeling of going down into the earth, but at the same time feeling a lifting, a lightening, and an opening. And it's that energy that we can invite into our sun salutation. So very grounded, very earth-focused energy, as well as that lifted, light, and open energy. So you want to have some space behind you for stepping back. And let's take the arms out to the sides again, like we're gathering light, concentrating the sun into our hands and bringing it to the heart where it connects with that light, that spark of electricity that literally works our hearts. So take a moment, feel that connection. Feel the earth beneath you, stabilizing and grounding you. And feel the light in your heart connecting with the sunlight and feeling how expansive and open that is. And then in whatever way feels right for you, honoring the sun today. So it could be some words that you say to yourself or an intention that you bring into this next sun salutation. Really honoring and bowing to the sun. So we're going to take that sun, lift it again, breathing in, and then exhale like we're bowing down to the earth, bringing the sun with us. And then from there, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. We'll take the right leg and step back to come into a lunge. Now, depending on how you're feeling today, you might keep your hands low, or you might inhale and lift up in a high lunge. And then exhaling, hands come down, and we'll step back to plank. So you can bring your knees down or not as you bend the elbows. And again, it doesn't have to be much. We want to keep a good form. Knees might come down for our upward dog. So shoulders down and back, chest forward. Lots of openness here. Exhale, downward dog. Let's take a few breaths in downward dog. You can bend your knees if you like. Come onto your tippy toes, whatever feels right for you. And then from here, we'll take the right foot and step it forward, coming into lunge. And again, you can choose to stay low or inhale and lift up into a high lunge. And then as you bring the hands down on an exhale, you'll step forward at the same time. Inhaling, hands to shins, lengthening. Exhale, releasing, bowing your sun to the earth. Take another breath here. And inhale, gathering earth energy, bringing it to the sun. Gathering sun energy, bringing it to the heart. And breathe. Again, taking the sun energy from the heart, lifting it to meet the sun in the sky, and then drawing all that down to meet the earth in reverence. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, fold forward. Let's take the left leg back this time. Coming into lunge, and again, you can stay low or lift up and stay for a couple of breaths this time. Shoulders draw down. You want to think about keeping a bit of engagement in the core so that we're not over stretching in the lower back. So you want to think about belly button moving back a little. Your back knee might need to bend, or if you can keep it straight, you'll feel perhaps some stretch in the front of that hip. From here, we'll step back to plank. So hands come down. Stepping back. Again, you could bring your knees down. That's definitely going to make things easier. And you can bend just a little or a little more. You want to keep lots of control there. And then coming into your upward dog. So again, you can keep a little bit of engagement in your core, and that lifts your belly a bit and stops the lower back from sagging and overstretching. From here, downward dog. Again, we'll take a few breaths in downward dog. And then the left foot steps forward. Choose to stay low or lift into high lunge. Same thing here. A little engagement in your core. That draws the tailbone down, but you don't want to round. You just a little engagement. As that tailbone drops, it opens the front of this back hip. Right, so bending the knee will take some of the stretch out, moving the legs straighter, and get a little more stretch in that hip flexor area. So from here, we'll bring the hands down and step forward. Inhale to lengthen, exhale to release. Another breath or two here. And then gathering earth energy, lifting it to meet the sun, bringing all of that energy back to your own heart. And breathe. Feel your feet on the ground, feel the connection of the earth, the solidity, stability. And then find that little lift, expansion, openness, receiving light. Okay, let's switch up our sun salutation a little bit this time. So breathing in, taking that heart light to the sunlight, spreading it all around and bringing it to the earth. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward. We'll take the right foot and step it back. And let's inhale, this optional again, lifting into our lunge pose and then come back down. I'm going to take the back foot, turn it out to the side. Take your left hand, bring it to the inside of your left leg. And we're going to take the right arm, reach up overhead, and lift all the way up from there to Warrior Two. So in Warrior Two, you want to look down at your front knee, make sure it's pointing straight ahead over your foot. And then we'll go back into that side angle pose. So for you, it might be bringing the hand right down to the ground where it was, reaching up or overhead. It might be forearm on your thigh, either reaching up or overhead, or hand on a block. So we'll just take a couple of breaths here, reaching out into the length of that pose along the top side of the body. And then we'll lift up, Warrior Two. Coming out of Warrior Two, we'll lift the back heel, pivot, swing the arm around, bring your hands down and step back to plank. Again, in plank, choose knees up or down, bend as much or as little as is right for you, and then into your gentle upward dog. From there to downward dog. And from our downward dog, right foot is going to step forward. We'll start by lifting in lunge, coming up with a breath in, lowering down, taking your right hand, the hand that's on the baby toe side, to the inside, turning the back foot to the side. We'll reach the left arm overhead and start to open to the side. reaching the arms, coming all the way up to Warrior Two. Finding Warrior Two, checking in with your front knee, straight over the ankle. And then coming down into whatever version of the side angle pose works for you. So elbow on the leg or hand on the ground or a block, the other arm reaching up or overhead. Just a couple of breaths here. And then lifting back up to Warrior Two. Pivot on the back foot, bringing the hands down, and this time we'll step forward. Hands to shins, lengthening, or it could be beside the feet. Exhale, fold. Inhale, taking that earth energy, lifting it up to the heavens, gathering the sun energy and bringing both to the heart. And breathe here. Let your heels sink down as the crown of your head lifts, and feel yourself as a conduit between the earth and the heavens. You're grounded, solid, planted here in this human form, yet there's another aspect of you that's heavenly, expansive, absolutely perfect, without flaw. Not like our human selves. So let's reach up with the hands, taking our light to the light of the sun and then spreading it out, bringing it to the stability of the earth and feeling ourselves connected to both. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward. And we're going to step or hop the feet back now to come to plank. So however you want to get there. From your plank again, choose knees up or down. Bend your elbows, keeping strong through your core, and then into your gentle back bend, and then downward dog. From here, let's take the left foot, bring it forward. We're going to turn the right foot out. Keep your right hand on the right side of your foot, and we're going to open into a bit of a twist, taking the left arm up. So you could use a block if you have one under your right hand, if you like. Reaching up with the other hand. I'm going to try to also connect with the outer edge of your back foot here. Right, coming down, we're going to step back to plank. Again, lower down any amount up to 90 degrees with your elbows, and then to upward dog and downward dog. From here, right foot forward. Again, your left hand can be on the floor or on a block. And we'll open up the right arm. So you're coming into a twist. You're turning towards your front leg. And breathing. Bringing the hand down. We'll step back to plank. From plank again, knees down or not. Bending the elbows as far as 90 degrees, not more. And then lifting into your upward dog and then downward dog. Let's take a few breaths in downward dog. If you're getting tired, child's pose might be a nice option here. And then again, we're going to come forward, either step, walk, or hop your feet forward. And then inhale to lengthen. Exhale to release and fold forward. Take a couple more breaths here. Bend your knees a little more. Let your head release a little bit more. And then when you're ready, come all the way up, breathing in, gathering that earth energy, bringing it to the sun energy, bringing all of that beautiful energy back to the heart. And pause here for a moment. Feel your feet on the ground, heels sinking down, crown lifting. And again, feeling like you're that conduit for energy from the earth to the heavens. Both aspects of ourselves embodied in this practice. Let's bend the knees and we're going to open out to the side, taking the arms and legs wide. Let's move into another twist here where we turn the whole body, bringing the hand across to the opposite leg. Other hand can come to the lower back or reach up behind you. And then we'll come back to the center, breathing in. Exhale, rotating the other direction. Think about your torso and spine staying really long. So it's not like we're crunching over to find the opposite leg, but reaching out to find the opposite leg. You can go as forward as you like. So you can touch the thigh if that's best for you, the calf, the foot, or even maybe the floor. Okay, do one more to either side. Again, choosing the variation that's best for you. When you come back to the center, you're going to raise up both arms, draw your shoulder blades down. Good. Let's slightly turn the feet out, bend the knees, and think about the knees going back as you bring the arms down into goddess pose. So feel the strength here. Draw your elbows down and back, chest lifts. If you want to work a little harder, sink a little lower. You might have to adjust your feet a little so your knees don't go past your ankles. Lifting all the way up. Reach the arms up. You can turn the feet parallel again and come into a forward bend. And we'll take a few breaths here. If you like, you can take your hands to your ankles, or they can be on the floor. And then let's take the hands forward. So if you need to use blocks to reach the ground, you can do that, or you can be on your fingertips. And you might, if it's comfortable for you, just walk the feet out a little. We'll work on finding some stretch into the inner thighs. So bending one knee. You might feel the length of the inner thigh on the other side. If you keep your bum lifting a little bit, it gives you a little more stretch. Go the other way. You can walk the hands a little to the side. So the more you find a little bit of arch in the back, rather than kind of rounding and falling forward, the more you'll feel that stretch. And you can go side to side a few times if you like. You may be even bringing the head and the hands toward that front or towards the bent knee. And to the other side. Right, coming back to the center. Now the next one is optional. You can repeat what we just did, walking the hands and bending the knee. Or if you want to go a little further, you can bend the knee, walk the hands over, let the heel lift, and come to sit on your heel as you turn the other foot toward the ceiling. It may be possible to do this with this heel down. I'm not going to attempt it today. It often ends up with me rolling backwards. So I've got tight ankles, but that might be totally possible for you, and you can try that. Flex the opposite foot. Right, so you might still be here, and that's fine. We're going to walk over to the other side. Again, option just to stay with the knee bent or to come right down and take the toes toward the ceiling on the other side. And then again, back to the center. Let your head release for a few breaths. Again, you can hold the ankles. You might bring the hands behind you if you like. You could even lift the arms if that feels good on your shoulders. Try to let the shoulders relax toward the ears. So you're not trying to pull the shoulders back and out. Just find a little ease here. So it could be hands on the back, elbows on the knees, so many options. So take a moment to play around here. And when you've had enough, we're going to come upright with a breath in, lifting all the way up. exhaling to release. Walk your feet in or step them in. Find your feet underneath your hips again. Sink down into your hips while you feel a lift in the heart. Crown of the head moving towards the sky as the shoulders drop down away from the ears. And again, feel that connection. You are the conduit between the earth and the heavens. You're of this world, of course, in this human body, but you're also connected to this deeper world of spirit. And today, the sun representing that spirit world, that expansive, pure, beautiful light within. So let's do a few more gestures of reaching up, inhaling, gathering the light while we feel grounded to the earth, bringing it to the heart. Pausing here to feel the connection, heart to feet, heart to heaven, to sun, or to however you want to describe that. And then we'll take that light, lift it, breathing in, big circle around. Let's come into a forward bend, exhaling. Inhaling, gathering the earth energy, bringing it up to meet the sun energy, and again, bringing it back to the heart. Pause here, one more breath. And then with your exhale, release your hands, shoulders down, slightly back. Just give everything a little wiggle. Just be a bit of a rag doll for a moment. Just any tension. Sun salutations can be quite challenging, so sometimes we bring a lot of tension to them. So just making sure that you're not carrying that tension with you as we make our way down to the ground. So whenever you're ready, we'll come to lie down on our backs. You can start with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor, and that gives your lower back lots of support. We'll take the arms and raise them up towards the ceiling so the wrists are over the shoulders. And let's do some slow circles here for the wrists. You can circle with your hands open. You might try hands in fists for a little slightly different feeling. And then give them a little shake. Just shake them out. Okay, and then bring your hands together. Interlace your fingers. Turn the palms up toward the ceiling and press the fingers away or the palms away. Right, and then releasing, turning the hands the other way and release the palms. We'll bring the arms down to the sides. And you want to bring the arms so that they're quite open. You can bend the elbows a little so the elbows and the backs of the hands are on the ground. You feel an openness across the heart. Take a few breaths here. Let your lower back settle. Breathing into the space all around the rib cage, wherever you can access the breath. Make sure you exhale fully as well. Feeling all of that space that we've created around the heart with the expansion of the sun salutations, all the movements that we've done today. And then you can slowly rotate your head one way. Pause for a breath or two as the head comes to the side. Again, shoulders and arms relaxed. Rotate the head toward the center and turn it the other way. And again, take a couple of breaths here, just feeling the stretch in the neck or shoulder, wherever you feel it. And then rotating the head back to center. can leave the arms where they are as long as this is a comfortable position for you, and we'll work with the legs now. So feet about hip distance apart. Could be a little closer if you like. And we'll take the knees down to one side as you turn the head away from the knees. So exhale as you go to the side. Inhale as you come to center. And then exhale as you go to the other side. Continuing, inhale center, exhale either side. If there's any feeling of discomfort or strain in your shoulders, lower the arms as much as you need to be comfortable. Eventually make your way back to the center. And this time we'll take the arms and again reach them up overhead and take the hands to the opposite elbows now. So you've got a little square shape over your chest. We'll start with the upper body, moving the head and the elbows towards one direction and then towards the other direction. So for me, I find that when I do this, it gets more into the back of my shoulders as opposed to having the arms on the floor, which gets more into the front of the shoulders. So you can stay with just the upper body movement if that's what feels best for you, or if you still want more twist generally through the spine, you can take the knees one way as you take the arms the other way. And then everything comes back to center and switches. So you'll go side to side, maybe once more to each side. Take your time. When you feel complete with that movement, you'll come to the center and bring your knees into your chest, and we'll move forward and back with the knees. So inhaling as the knees move away from you, exhaling as they move in. And then at some point you'll bring the knees to the chest and take both hands over to one side. Doesn't really matter which, because we'll do both. Extend the opposite leg out. You're going to feel active in that lengthened leg, so you're pressing into the heel a little. Toes point toward the ceiling. And then the same side as the leg that's stretched out, you can also extend the arm. And then reach from your heel to your fingertips. If it's more comfortable to bring the opposite foot to the ground, that's totally fine, or you can keep it into the chest. As you take several breaths here, imagine that you're breathing all the way from your fingertips stretched over your head to your toes stretched down the opposite end. And as if you could breathe light, breathe sun, breathe energy into that whole side of your body from fingertips to toes. Reaching and growing and expanding that side with your breath. And then when you're ready to release, you can bring the foot down, bring the arm down, and then either bend at both knees or straighten both knees so that you're in a symmetrical position, arms either on the ground or resting on your body. Again, same thing on both sides. And take a moment to notice what you are aware of between the side that we just breathed light into and the side that we haven't yet. What are you aware of? What do you notice? When you're ready, we'll come back both knees to chest and repeat the movement of forward and back with the knees to bring the spine back to alignment before we do the other side. So exhaling, knees in. Inhaling, knees move away. And then when you're ready to work with the other side, I'm going to bring the opposite knee in. Take the other leg and extend it on the ground, keeping it active. Heel down, toes up. The leg that's up in toward the body, you can keep it there or bring your foot to the floor if that's more comfortable. We're going to release the arm that matches the leg that's stretched out and extend that arm overhead. And again, reach from heel to fingertips, breathing into that long open side as if you could breathe sunshine right to your toes, all the way into your leg, to your hip, your waist, the side ribs, the armpit, the shoulder, the arms, arm, hand, and even that side of your head if you like. Breathing into that whole lengthened side. And then when you're ready, slowly release. You can release the leg, bring the arm down. And again, stretch out for a moment, both legs straight or both bent if you prefer. And again, tune into and notice what you're aware of, what's present for you now. And then let's come back both knees to chest again to, again, bring alignment back to the spine by drawing the knees forward and back with the breath. Inhaling away, exhaling in, or if you like, you can extend the arms and legs as you breathe in, and then bring them back into the chest as you exhale. So either of those counter poses to help bring everything back to alignment after working asymmetrically with the last pose. And then any other movement here that you like. So it could be a little rocking or circling, whatever would feel good to help to release any last bit of holding or tension. Realign what needs to be realigned, feel ready and relaxed to move into either Shavasana, lying down, or if you prefer, it could be a seated meditation to end the class, just depending on your energy level. And if you want to maintain a little more energy, you might sit. If you feel comfortable with lying down and that's the best option for you, then choose that option. So take your time to find the position that's going to work best for you for the next 5 minutes or so. And as you get yourself into a good position, start to refine it a little bit, making little adjustments to be as comfortable as possible. Sometimes we don't actually find perfect comfort seated or lying down, and we just go for the best that we can in that moment. And once you find a position that feels as comfortable as you can find, then really commit to that position. Our fidgeting can distract us completely from our meditation or relaxation. And we can chase that last 5% of comfort for the entire time and never actually relax. So again, find your position when it feels as comfortable as you think you can be in this moment. Commit to that position unless you're in some kind of pain, then of course you're going to move. And when you find that comfortable place to hang out for a few minutes, let your attention come back to your breath. Let the breath be as easeful and uncomplicated as possible. There's no need to do anything special with your breath. You're just letting it come and go. Almost like the breath is being breathed for you. There's no effort. As you exhale, feel yourself sink into whatever parts of your body are connected to the earth. It's going to be different whether you're lying down or seated. Notice where your body meets the earth And with each exhalation, see if you can find more sense of dropping into that support. If you're seated, it's just like when we were standing, there's a sense of being grounded, being stable, but also not losing a sense of lift and lightness. And if you're lying down, that feeling of dropping down into the earth and being stable and supported, but at the same time feeling an expansiveness with each breath in. So there's a real balance. Exhale, dropping down. Inhale, finding expansion, openness. So you can stay with that idea with the breath of feeling a dropping and a grounding with your exhale, and expansion and opening with your inhale. I'm going to share part of a chant with you that honors the sun. And it talks about the light as pure light being actually the full spectrum of colors. And honoring that light and all that it brings to us in its varied forms. And breathing in, feel the expansion. Breathing out, a letting go, dropping down. Om Hram Udyanatya Mitra Maha. Om Hrim Aruhanuttarandivam. Om Hrum Rudragam Surya. Om Hraim Harimananjanashaya. Om Hraum Shuke Shume Harimanam. Om Hraha Rupanaka Sudatmasi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Breathing in, feel expansion, openness. Breathing out, connection to the earth, groundedness. Start to make the breath just a little bit deeper now, never straining. Inviting a little more breath in, a little more energy with the inhale now. Of course, still exhaling fully, letting go, but adding a little more emphasis now to the inhalation, that energizing aspect of the breath. When you feel ready, you can add movement. You can wiggle your fingers and toes, circle your ankles and wrists, move in any way that would feel good. Eventually, if you're lying down, you'll roll to your side and come to sit. If you want to spend a little more time in Shavasana, of course, that's fine. And if you're ready to come to sit, coming upright in your own time. And if you've come upright, we'll take the arms and reach out from the earth, lifting again. toward the heavens, as if we could take that sun, bring it to meet the sun and light in our own hearts, and pause there. And if it feels right to you, you might bring into your mind today someone you know who needs some light, some uplifting, opening energy. Maybe they're depressed or struggling in some way. Maybe that's you today. Maybe you want to direct even more energy towards yourself in this moment. So bringing yourself or someone else to mind and having the wish in your heart and mind that they be well, that they feel their own light and expansion, as well as their connection to the earth and the ground. And you can lift the arms, breathing in, and send that out to whoever might need it, including if you've brought someone particular to mind, and then back to the heart. Namaste.